week off, you said?
Yes.
Hold on.
Yeah, right.
Oh.
Do you want to get it back, Jim?
Yeah. If I could get it back in the order.
Oh, for sure.
Nah, you know what? I'm good.
You have your shoes?
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I'm good.
Everyone alright?
Yeah.
Yep. Ready? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, let me just sit.
Oh yeah, you're good.
Go ahead.
Okay. First, cultural strategies of racial identification via the interrogation of whiteness merely perpetuate the dialect between white supremacy and survival strategies of the reified domination and ecocentric ethic that problematizes the construction of race by finding intrinsic value in all organic and non-organic components of the world solves better this sedentary, crooks and 2K modern society refuses to permit a subject to enjoy the subject of the enjoyment of supremacy for race is a neutral description of human difference. Racism is the misappropriation of such difference. This perspective refuses to address the peculiar resiliency of racist objective investment in racial identity, the polarization of figures, whether race exists or not, the racialization is concrete against the social reality we have no choice but to inhabit our racial position on making this movement theorist and reify racial relation between people takes on the character of everything and acquires a phantom objectivity to arrest analysis of race at the point where one are discerned Marxist historical effects to effects to reproduce such a relationship power that one intends to oppose to a race subjective that is impossible to conceive human difference in new civil society engages such reification because desire to keep the dialect of racial identity must prohibit racism in order to prevent that annihilation system for race even discourse in their game against racism. The AF understands history solely as a product of human relations, obfuscating the oppression of animal. We control root cause and oppression of conflict is best in 70 environmental determinism approach fails to emphasize the crucial role that animals play in human history as well as in human exploitation of animals is key cause hierarchy. Animals have been key force of human thought and history overall. The oppression of human over human is deep roots. The oppression of human over animal, the human domination of animal lives. It emerged 10,000 years ago as the first hierarchical domination laid the ground for patriarchy, slavery, warfare, genocide, and other system violence of power. Human liberation is impossible if disconnected from animal liberation. Humanism to class under the weight of this contradiction. Animal exploitation species may have direct connection to slavery, colonialism, racism, and anti-Semitism. These connections exist only in ideology, but in systems of technology, and they're focused on particular identity divisions within the notion of human masks the way we exploit the non-human everyday and everywhere this is codified. The ruling class promoted socio-cultural attitude that can be best describes capitalist system extinction of life in the form of growing ecological catastrophe. The grassroots movement mobilized anti-war, the anti-globalization movement is more incorporated rings in the member state that has been associated with important ecological battles and has been more anti-corporate than pro-ecology. The anti-war movement largely ecological critique and favoring anti-imperialist, anti-racist, pro-democracy discourse that results in a failure to integrate the environmental movement into progressive causes. The human-centric ethic culminates in ecological collapse and extinction. This is akin in radical exclusion, found no difference between human and non-human nature. This is a valorization of human rationality, is minimization of similarities, this is features. Create ethical discontinuity between humans and non-human nature, which denies nature value, nature sees promotes instrumentalism and exploitation. This helps to universalize human structure standpoint, making visible and inevitable oppression of non-human nature such a framework creates injustice, making ecologically rational centrism naturalized illusory order which center appears to be disseminated. This is especially dangerous in contexts where radical dependency on another who is weakened by the application of that logic such a logic must inevitably lead to failure through the catastrophic institution of our natural environment and consequences of the collapse of our species, or hopefully the already abandonment of the human-centric framework. The alternative is to vote negative to embrace an ethic of organism. This is heading in 9 particles, plants, people, particles, plants, people are parts of complex and intersecting wholes. Every individual is inextricably linked and inextricably intertwined and interconnected with each other. Once recognized, every individual brings together the elements of the world, and just as we see nothing is of void value, beauty, no individual can be understood apart from its relationship to the other. Wife's philosophy places a premium on an individual dependence on relationship, large to the whole, which is part of without subsuming the individual into the large whole. The philosophy of organisms ideal position from which to address the complex social and ecological challenges confronting us, how I relate to my environment, it's constituted of who and what I am. An organic model forces us to abandon the dualisms that have led us to maintain the illusion that we are set up from the rest of nature until we should ourselves deluding arrogance, recognize we are a species that is dependent on the wider scope of events unfolding in the universe. The ecological progress will only deepen and chart conscious and anthropocentric from our scope of concern cannot be limited to humans or sentient beings or even all living beings, affirming the value of every individual. We must begin to recognize that every relation is a moral relation. Morality is fundamentally about how we comport ourselves in the world with every form of existence. Next up. The framing of ethical advocacy requiring one to stand perpetuates institutional ableism. This is Brignell in 70 English language school of expression, which are based on the ability to walk young adults are encouraged by their parents to leave home and stand on their own 2 feet. Successful business people who stay at home on one side and their competitors, politicians stand for elections. We feel we're being turned out fairly. We are told to stand up for yourself and use of ocular metaphors like gaze to imply lack of knowledge is rooted in ableist assumptions and equating visuality with knowing as an epistemical foundation to practices of empire building and colonial cartography. This turns the absence of fairy and fiber range of disabilities to imply from metaphoric value common figurative use of the word blind include blind faith, blind trust, blind spot, blind spite, blind leading, the blind following, blindly, unfortunately, is caused within interdisciplinary areas. Studies have been slow to recognize disability such as legitimate area of inquiry. This inability to analyze disability through critical demonstrates the problems of passive empathy or identification and analogy bridging and assuming the reversibility of experience with applicants able to practice feminism on a daily basis more by re-describing visions and knowledge visual metaphors for knowing intent can reinforce making dualism mind body I not I in the name of liberatory politics equating visual acuity with knowing is one common way to displace opposition to knowledge, and this must be a voting issue. Able to speech strengthens oppression and destroys the purpose of public debate. The impacts trump the other warrants in their arguments. This wheelchair dancer in aid of perhaps what I'm saying feels like a burden to eventually take on restriction on your free speech. Perhaps the feeling can also serve as an indicator of how persuasive and thus important the issue is to the community. We've accepted the commonly used words can be slurs in the rule we avoid in societies as a whole, so not pay the same attention to disabled people's concerns about language by not paying attention to the literal value, the very real substantive physical, psychological, sensory, and emotional experience come with these linguistic moves that occur in negative rhetorical climate. It's too easy to base claims on marginalizing the experience of disabled people when we engage in these kinds of argumentative circles. We exclude a whole population of people whose histories are inextricably bound with ours. We deploy these kinds of strategies to underscore the value of their own existence in the world. We reaffirm and strengthen the systems of oppression that motivated us in the first place. Next off. Obsession with the ontological condition of social death turns the app and causes violence against anything that doesn't fit within the apps dialectic. This is Peterson. In section scholars are race studies right about the body, which is invoked as the body that's present to itself, untainted by morality for cultural studies. Spectrality is merely an effect of racism, subtracted from eccentric externalized. The body can be made present self-ontology. No longer in question with spectrality is not its origin, social inequality. Spectrality is no proper beginning or anything. Objection racial minorities endure might be better understood as a motor of redoubled goals like the hardest of spectrality inherent to all life and such as those margins of society. The representations of African Americans as spooks that rule works ward off the death that always already haunts the ontology of the white body, the constitution of the equation is to have the consequence of disavowing finitude. Specific historical elements racism must be thought of in relation to spectrality. The turn to the body has been occasion of renewed faith in particularity that skews large things in the theory of social death names and ontological deprivation that attempts to lies or racial minorities for no reason why these specificity should not be brought to bear on generalizable conditions of spectrality, not to negotiate the tension between spectrality and social death to miss the opportunity to interrogate how social death of racial ethics is produced and through the disavowal of spectrally insists on the ontology that socially can really reverse and redescribes the division between life and death, presence, exams, the conditions, the objection mark, and abjection, and their embrace of the body as violence and conformative contradiction endows it with a very specific ontology, the appropriation of its presence, and ensures violence against the spectral in the absence of Peterson. In Citra Butler's body displays a resiliency that always manages to recover from ontological failure. She has to understand her rhetoric as a conformative contradiction, which she does ontology, which is then the practical ontology. The point is to inaugurate ontological domain. The ontology of the object emerges as an effect that's disclaiming the power of the conformity brings the object resonates with the claim that there is produced a counter imaginary to the dominant metaphysics. This restaging or reappropriation of ontological terms might sound deconstructive. Yet wonders what a work ontological terms might perform with its counter imaginary. This negation of the body preserves only a return to spirit. The mother of corporealism remains caught in inevitable circuit of dematerialization. The substitute of spirit's body. Thus reverses the notion of body's presence and promise of bodies can enter ethically and politically through their materialization and their ontology. A spectral theory of corporeality. Corporeality would correspond to a body that can never fully return to itself as a living paradoxical incorporation with us. Disrupt the spirit's return to itself and yet resist the reflexive suppression of the spirit. The body characterized return to the body, neither return to nor return of the body, and disavowal of finitude. The finitude is foundational condition for all American violence, and the impact is ever escalating. Cycles of destruction is Peterson in 7. The rise of modernity, witness and effacement of death, interdiction of mourning, so more vigilant in the U.S. The transformation of death into something that is not death, symptomatic of modern segregation of the living, and disavowal of dying as has violent consequences, noting the imperative limit our casualties, von remarks the price of multiplying it down on the other side. Belief in myself as a dialectically self-presence, dialectically conditioned by the non-presence of others. This gesture reinforces dissimulation of reality by making others standing for the death that haunts the everyday life. American necrophilia response to overwhelming fear and denial of death. Yet this move to specific forms of embodiment retains the body, and therefore self-present entity that's very much subject to ward off the inevitable. This imperative to raise the dead rather than reverses rather than displaces the logic through which shaman cultural disavows and projects morality on a minority sexual reality must be thought in relation to mourning. The ultimate act would be to resist the racist and heterosexual disavowal of finitude. And we are all specters. Only a recognition of finitude as conditioning of existence displaces the dialectic between presence and absence that creates violence against the black body. This is Peterson in 6. The future all that attends with certain but undeterminable possibility. That's a nice house, all house being ahead of itself in the anticipation of death, move from the living body to the precarious body begins to address the problem of fact to divine mortality. And mourning might not only force all the violent response to 9/11, but also could change the reduction of America's internal racial ethics, describe the liminal steps of social death, the construction of the Muslim mother as always already dead, describes the most recent version of long mortalization that you create a racial ethics belief that death strike that was most violently felt in the domain of racial politics, realist skill finds racial minorities and describe an intimate conflict with both the social and material death of black Americans. I'm usually a risk for not timely deaths from specific forms of racial violence without diminishing the reality of this high proximity to death, we must also recognize that finitude always comes before time. While some of us are socially dead, we are all specters. Only a theory that dislodges corporeality. Marked at corporeality. Okay.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Cool. Alright, on your first,
Yeah.
right, you're saying racial identification is bad.
No, that's not the argument. The argument that our piece of Sadashri.
Or racial identification is bad for, because it can't, what does it hurt?
Yeah, that's our piece of con evidence. Our con evidence says kind of focusing on particular divisions within identities of humans kind of disrupts and distracts us from focusing on violence that's ongoing against non-humans.
Sorry, I have a question.
Yeah.
Can you explain your third off, this Peterson evidence? I'm not quite understanding the link here.
Okay, so our argument is that creating, you talk about sort of your ancestors and calling forth those who have been affected by colonization. Our argument is that that focus upon the death of past ancestors makes it impossible for us to realize that we are all specters. We should not start from the point of there is the colonizer and sort of a person who has been colonized.
Hold up.
Wait. Can I get the link in like a sentence?
Yes, focus on the division between the who's been colonized and the colonizer. Disavows our ability to understand that we are all specters and that we should not have sort of a hierarchy of
Specters of
difference.
what?
There is the in-between between life and death that is spectrality, which is what our evidence says.
That's what our Peterson.
What's the impact?
It says that disavowing finitude, i.e., trying to reconcile the fact that we are in fact all specters, trying to avoid.
What does it mean to be a
both death.
specter?
Well, it would say that we are all beings toward death, I guess is the way to explain to be a specter.
Do you think?
That is the relationality that all beings have, is we will die. That is the way we should relate to the politics of the legacy.
So you're saying we're not dead yet, is that what you're saying?
Well, our argument that the assumption
No,
of
because you're saying
social,
you said we're all specters, specters are all heading towards death. Are you saying we're not dead yet?
we would say that the assumption of social death is
No,
bad
we're not
because it
talking-
reifies. Well, I mean, I guess my answer question is the assumption of social death then reifies for the body which is still alive that they're alive and that
So we're still
the
alive
Soviet
then?
population
Is that what you're
are-
saying? We're still alive?
Just
Yes or
if that's
no?
your argument, yes.
Yeah,
Alright,
so
so
all
cool,
alive.
we're
Yes.
still alive then.
That's the alternative.
Yeah, we're all beings toward death. not that we are
No,
all
so
dead.
that we're still, okay, alright, cool.
Yeah.
Alright. Let me see. What was social death talking about in your cards anyway?
Well, it's talking about Patterson's idea of social death. I think it's
And who were they analyzing? Who was Patterson analyzing here?
Melinda Patterson is I think analyzing it's analyzing slavery.
African Americans. So what does that have to do with us?
Well, I think our evidence is not just about race studies. It's also about cultural studies and how.
Right, if you-
I
no,
think our first piece of evidence.
And I think our second piece of Peterson evidence.
No, okay,
is
anyway, let me get to the,
question on
I'm gonna just take a little.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Alright, start the time. Alright, what is an ethic of organism and how do you embody that?
An ethic of organism is one where we kind of realize that all things, living or not living, have intrinsic value. That's the way that we should orient our politics.
Right.
The reason
And
why-
how do you embody that?
We would say embodiment is a bad thing.
Yeah, embodiment
Alright,
is.
how do you perform this ethic of organism?
By understanding that everything has a unique
Yeah.
value.
So just understanding and not actually doing anything.
Well, advocating the fact that everything has a unique value. In cross-ex, when I asked you about the experience of my own Jewish ancestors, you talked about how there's a difference in oppression
Yeah.
between that experience.
What does that have to do with you
experience.
performing?
Additionally,
Alright,
we would say reading this argument is a pretty good starting point as well. Like,
so
talking about-
you start, but where do you go from there? Because we're saying that this debate around matter is an extension of the world. So
Right.
how are you starting from this, doing anything to perform an ethic of organism?
Performing animal rights advocacy.
Just preferring?
I said performing animal rights advocacy.
So,
Other
like-
things like performing talks at my school my junior year
So
about
you just talk about
passives
it.
and why
Or
they're
just bringing awareness.
Summit on
Yeah, I mean,
food
for
and how food
instance-
is produced.
Alright,
For instance, Henning's a professor at Gonzaga.
Cool.
Yeah,
Cool. I'm good. Alright,
Yeah.
thanks.